Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the first Eyes On Development Diary episode. This is something that we are going to try to do on more regular basis in next several months at least, because we have a lot of news, a lot of interesting things to share with you after 6 months of relative silence this year. During last year, for those of you who are relatively new to our product, to what we do, just a brief reminder. For last year, starting January or February, believe it was February officially when we launched in Russia and CIS region, we basically had 2 clients, and we ended 2020 a really harsh year of lockdown and COVID, harsh for you as businesses, harsh for you as for customers, harsh for startups. Sorry, but that was really good year for us, obviously, for obvious reasons. Being in live video sales business during last year was really good thing. And we've provided a lot of positive effect for those partners and businesses that we collaborated with during last year. We finished last year with over 50 clients, starting with 2. Out of them, 25 or 26 are large enterprises, global brands, and large regional retailers. Many of them you will probably hear about during today's meeting talk, with some best practices, cases, insights that we got along the way. And for those of you who are already with us, brave, bold ones, who were pioneering on-demand live video shopping during whole of last year and this year. We are also going to share a lot of interesting stuff that we were working on for last 6 months, and that are ready to go, and that we would really like you to consider including into your Eyes On package, into your Eyes On product ecosystem. And also, in the end, we are going to share a bit more information on what's going to happen in next 2-3 months, especially. There's some really neat stuff that we want to introduce, and then we're going to tell you a bit more about them and unpack it more seriously in next several episodes, which means next several months. And for now, I think it would be really neat if Masha, our CEO, would share a little bit of background of what was going on with us as a business or as organization, if you like, in terms of unraveling the potential that we built for during the last year to a completely different level, and doing 2 things and achieving 2 things. First is covering more than 12, I believe it is now, industries and categories that are using Eyes On actively, and most of them are covered with leaders in these industries in the region. And the second thing is that finally we are going beyond our home region or pilot region into European and South Asian market. So, Masha, if you like.
Actually, this growth doesn't come easy to us. With more clients and categories and expansion to other markets comes more responsibility. So now we went through international certification procedure. Our Europe office will start work in July, the end of July, and our distribution network is being developed. So this is a lot of things which comes all the time, and we need to deal with it on the fly.
Because there's a lot
on the
of
fly.
there's a lot of work and there's a lot of incoming clients, really serious businesses and really serious and unique business scenarios that we're going to touch a bit later.
Yeah.
On one side, and on the other side, we are moving into biggest and more complex markets for retail, which is Europe and Middle East and Southeast Asia, and we are going to be really, really competitive in these spaces, and we need to be really, really competitive in these spaces as soon as possible. So what's happening basically is that in parallel, we are structuring our business and the infrastructure, product infrastructure, service infrastructure, and security framework in the same way while we are growing the business. And that's really, really significant challenge. And what we are really proud of, personally, I'm really proud of about you and your team, is that we've basically managed in less than 6 months to become fully compliant in all business aspects to GDPR and probably virtually all of the compliance procedures that are needed for representing our business in all of these markets. And I think that's really a huge success.
Actually, we're lucky to have a lot of new members of our Izon family, which bring with them great experience and new knowledges and skills in what they are doing every day. And very important for us that they share our philosophy, our vision, and our goals. And that's why I think they emerge into our company very fast, very quickly. Actually, we grew quite a lot in the last couple of months. And last years, we were a team of 25 people. Now it is like 60 of us or 65, and with very more coming every week. Actually, 3 or 5 people
every day.
join us. Yeah.
Daily.
Actually, it was
we had 1 week where we had daily 3 people.
3 people.
New people.
Yeah. This is quite interesting to work with, and our safety and security department is growing exponentially with every task and subjects we should work on the fly, and we are very lucky to have this kind of team. Our Izon family, every person comes with their own very cool experience and great knowledge and skills and new ideas about product features and even direction of products, like analytics. Meanwhile, they have amount of work to do every day. And the level of enthusiasm and involvement astonishes me, even my own. Actually, we're working on new features and product directions and start to share with everybody who is interested in what we are doing to participate. We're starting to develop our community as a space where we can freely discuss and share in what we are working on, and our existing clients can participate and share their own experience, usage scenarios, how they use it and scale our Izon experience with them.
because that's what's happening for quite some time, isn't it? It's like for the last 6 months, we're getting a huge feedback from all of our clients, early starters. We started in Q1 last year. In Q4 last year, we started getting a lot of interesting feedbacks. So one of the initiatives, and we really believe that that's one of the most interesting stuff to come for current clients and future clients as well, is creating a live community space on our website as a space where a client can directly exchange their insight, best practices, cases with us and between themselves, because that's what's going on right now between them as we speak.
Yeah, and we in this space we can support to extend their experience, support them to share with everybody else. Actually, it's interesting for me also that they want to share how they developed their own business model or transform it mostly with iZone and around iZone experience. And also for those who only involved, getting involved in what we are doing and interesting to know more about what we are working on and to communicate with existing client can do it in this space and find a lot of interesting information there and become a part of the community also.
And at some time Q3 this year, right? So August, September this year.
August, yeah.
Okay.
We start these formats here, and then we will develop it there
on the website.
On the website, yeah.
So feel free to visit right now, but feel free to visit in August, September. You will have a lot more material than we are talking about today here. Much more.
Let's talk a little bit about our amazing clients. They keep surprising us with new cases, new insights, and we would really love to share some of them with you today. I'll start with SEB Group. Probably you know, of course, their brands. You know their brands as Tefal, Molinex, Roventa. What they did was at first, during the first stage, they launched our service on their web shop. And then, after they saw the fantastic conversion results that they get, they decided to explore more opportunities. So what they did was they went to the largest Russian marketplace. It's called Ozon.ru. It's very often referred as a Russian Amazon. And they somehow talked their partners into placing our button on the product pages of their on their marketplace, thus increasing the number of sent requests, the number of live streams shown, and of course the sales by tens, maybe even hundreds.
Exponentially.
Okay, yes, I am not allowed to share.
Because the branded traffic on brands like Tefal and etc. It's really good, but it's incomparable to retail partner or marketplaces traffic.
True. So the way the scenario actually is being executed, the way it works is that the button is placed on the product pages on the marketplace, yet the live streams are being shown by the representatives of the brand from the showroom. And this is just the beginning, because after they have placed the button on the marketplace, our other clients saw that and they said, hey, we also want to be present on the marketplace. So DeLonghi and then Haier also went to Ozon and asked to be placed on their product pages, which of course Ozon did. And I think it is really a rare situation when then the marketplace came to us and we are now in the process of negotiating.
And we really didn't have any negotiations. I believe that during the last year, I think we were writing to Ozon So some of our leads contacts
A lot of times.
I think 2 or 3 times during 2020, and it was always like a very brief contact, and it was like, yeah, that's very interesting. Sometimes in the future we're going to
Like in video also.
connect like many other clients at that time, and then exactly what happened is that when you have a really simple in terms of deployment tool, and then yet very complex and very rich in terms of variety of scenarios that you can use, like on-demand live, and I think that this combination is something that really opened up a lot of opportunities that we couldn't even imagine during that last year. I mean, let's be frank, we didn't imagine that we are going to be a widget as part of one of the largest, or probably the largest at the moment, marketplace in Russia and CIS without even negotiating about it. So I really think that it's a really neat thing that happened, not just for us, but for the clients, is that the creative approach that clients exercise immediately after starting using the widget, because this happened like in 1 or 2 months after they went with the rollout on their websites, and then on 3rd months we already got them on the marketplace pages. And sorry for stealing your speech,
yes.
but
come on, go ahead.
I think that the really great thing about that is that when you think about it, what actually happened is a very traditional vendor format is actually used. It's a point of sales promotion.
Yes.
Just in online. So the same way that these brands are having point of sales promotion in brick and mortar stores, now they're just using the same approach and the same logic and the same infrastructure, just not being present in brick and mortar stores, which is expensive and impossible during the lockdown, and they're just using it in online to represent their products better in online. So
yeah, not only during the lockdown, because the lockdown is over and still, and that's really interesting. And I think that was a very important as well test for us. Also, because I will talk about that a bit later, how SEB Group is using our service for their end customers. We'll talk about that a bit later. But going back to the vendor format, so one of the variants that is happening, and it's quite amazing to follow, is that our clients, brands, they go to the marketplace and they pretty much do all the work for us. They ask to be placed, to place our service on the web pages of the marketplace. Yet we have another interesting
the opposite
case.
One.
Yes, we have another interesting case. It's CityLink. It's I'm sorry, it's not bragging, but it is also one of the largest retailers of, in this case, home appliances and electronics. So what they do is that they approached us, and we have an agreement where they actually go to their vendors and they offer our service as an additional feature to drive the sales conversions, to drive the engagement, to drive loyalty, and a lot of other things. And it goes quite well. So in this scenario, CityLink, which is also pretty much a vendor format, it's, a vendor format, offering our service to their own clients. So it's kind of interesting. Do you want to add something? No,
not anymore.
No, okay. Of course, it is only natural that our clients want to have the best conditions for showcasing their products. And this means, of course, first of all, the quality of the image, the comfort of the shop assistants, thus the free hands to demonstrate the product. And this makes us realize that for the current situation, it is a great solution. Have this small space organized just for showcasing the products, just as Dragomir said here, pretty much similar to what we see in broadcast shopping. But we do know that very soon wearable devices are going to just explode the market, because Google, Amazon, Apple, Facebook will be launching new wearable smart glasses. There will be new wearable cameras. And then if you multiply that by the fact that we're not we are launching, but we will be using the 5G internet, which is much, much faster. This means that the great picture, great sound, great conditions for showcasing live products are going to be affordable and accessible to pretty much everybody. And of course, our clients.
In the same way as smartphones changed and democratized the video production, in the same way the wearable solutions. And speaking about glasses, we always imagine a really serious enterprise tech, $3,000-$5,000, etc. We're not even speaking that. I believe it was almost 3 years ago when we tested front row and different wearable camera solutions with the image stabilization and all of the fancy stuff. It was 3 years ago when we tested a hands-free solution for Eyes-on for shop assistants. We just didn't implement it yet. But the point is that striving for high quality, rich content, focusing on shop assistant storytelling rather than smartphoning the product, which works really fine with 30% of convergence in sales in case of Eyes-on. But nevertheless, when the hands are free and when the mind is free and the shop assistant can focus on what he does the best, and which means assists, in terms of information about the product. And if you combine this with three main things, then you've completely removed the current bottleneck that we have. And we have a bottleneck. First is the hardware, which is fully hands-free. Second is the software solution, which allows for full hands-free interaction with the application, with the customer. And the third one is the internet infrastructure, because having a store on a -1 floor or having a store in a rural area and having a broadband, great Wi-Fi internet is very often not the case. So combining the 5G internet, wearable solutions, and hands-free software and hardware solutions, we are most probably in next 6 months going to really, really up the game when it comes to quality of how the product is presented by us.
Exactly, yes. And that's why, of course, we at Eyes-on already are working on additional features and additional formats of Eyes-on being suitable for the upcoming wearable devices. Now, I would like to give you another example, a very interesting case, which our client has shared with us. It's a very big retailer of furniture and home goods. When they started using Eyes-on, they decided to explore different scenarios, different product categories. And of course, it was only natural to think, hey, we have best-selling products. Let's put Eyes-on the best-selling products and see how it will drive conversions. And guess what happened? The button didn't get any really clicks, because it turns out that the best-selling products, that's why they're called this way, they are being sold pretty well without any additional push. Which made our client think, okay, let's then look in the completely opposite direction. Since the best-selling products are being sold on its own, what about the excessive inventory? The one that is not being really sold that well. So the scenario that they came up with was quite spectacular. They actually grouped that inventory, that assortment, by interests. They segmented, of course, the customers, and they grouped that assortment by different groups and put Eyes-on button, the See Live button, on a selection of products, which was grouped according to some specific interests,
questions,
questions, etc. And that's when, of course, the button started getting a lot of clicks, a lot of live streams started happening. We were really excited when the client shared that with us. And of course, we went once again brainstorming, thinking, okay, what else can we do? How else can we push it? So, we do have a lot of crazy different ideas and try to think out of the box. That's why we started thinking, okay, so they're using it on their web shop, which is great, but how are they promoting that new approach? of course, it's direct mailing. I mean, still, we do know that the advertising and the what's it called the let's say the generation of traffic is kind of pricey, and the price is growing more and more, and it will be growing even more because we do know that with the cookies and all the restrictions that are being introduced in the market, it all really creates additional obstacles to the advertisers to bring high quality traffic to their website, thus making direct mailing even more important and even more efficient. And of course, we do know that nowadays everybody wants a hyper-personalized approach. And now think, what can be more personal than receiving an email with not just having your name put in the message and a tailored list of products to your interests, but also having an opportunity to go directly from that mail message to a personal on-demand live stream. Pretty much, you receive an email, you click on the button offering you to have a personal on-demand live stream, and boom, you have this virtual visit of an actual shop where a personal assistant shows you all the products that were just offered you in the message.
It's basically what we see for the last couple of years, and especially with lockdown and COVID, is that price of the traffic and all of the other obstacles that are basically lowering and further lowering the efficiency of the budget that are invested into traffic is direct to customer mechanics. So the direct mail is just the most traditional and most expected format, where we understand that we can easily embed and that we can bring great value, and we're actually doing it. But if you think, even further out of the box, any direct-to-customer approach and any direct-to-customer mechanics, which can be absolutely anything else, from social media, direct messaging, SMS marketing or push marketing, direct mailing as well, and not just online, but also offline. And I'm going to talk a bit later about that.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. We now have this really interesting case of placing the See Live button inside emails that businesses can send to their customers. One more interesting case. Probably you all know this brand. It's another really strong player in the DIY market, Leroy Merlin. An interesting scenario that was introduced by this client is the following, is as follows. Not only they were offering See Live option when products were being purchased, but also they were offering this service as an after-sales service. Because think about it, when you buy some paint or wallpaper, or I don't know, even some instruments, for improving your home, then once you start using it, you usually do get some questions, because the wallpaper, I don't know.
You don't know actually how to do it.
Well, yeah, you don't know how to actually put it on the wall. Or for instance, you have some additional questions on which brushes is better to use, or something goes wrong and you want to clarify what it is to do.
Mixing the paint,
exactly. So what usually people do is probably they just go to YouTube and try to find answers there by watching endless pre-recorded videos. But with Leroy Merlin, you can do it a different way. You can go back to the product page and request a live stream with a shop assistant explaining you how to actually use the products that you have purchased.
When you think about it, that's one of the categories where, where the most of the story of the product and most of the relevant information that you want to get comes usually after the purchase, because you're buying the product, you're buying tiles or paints or whatever, you're buying it in terms of you're choosing color, you're looking at the price, what kind of color, what's the quality, what's the manufacturer, and then you bought it. And then when you come home, you're like, oh, okay, so now I actually will have to use this. And then you have a completely different story. So what we've seen, and we didn't actually see DIY category is very natural for this, but I have to say that we've seen this and many, many times, even in home appliances tech, and even in TV sets and video, for example. We've got this numerous requests where people who were buying TV sets or washing machines came back to the product page and asking to demonstrate from the showroom, to demonstrate them how to set up the TV channels or how to set up this or that function on their washing machine.
And I'll give more examples later.
And this is what is really fascinating. When you see how actually customers, not just clients, and we're speaking a lot about how clients creatively use the widget, its possibilities for its placement, possibility for direct to customer sales through the direct mailing and etc. So using different formats. But when you see that customer starts creatively using the service, he bought the product effectively on the MVideo website, on the Leroy Merlin website. You do not have call to action for after sales services. You don't find it.
But the
customer who bought the product understands that if he has the possibility through the product page to connect with the shop assistant, to the consultant, and get additional information while he's using the good, he's going to use it.
We just
and that's a completely new level of experience, which is much more connected to loyalty, repurchase, purchase frequencies, than to direct purchase.
Exactly. And one more.
I just stole your speech.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. I have another client to talk about. The Body Shop.
Oh, okay,
Cosmetics.
that's yours. Okay.
Yes, are you going to talk?
Body Shop is mind-blowing. One of our most beloved clients.
Yes, exactly. So probably, as all of you have, experienced purchasing cosmetics, what is really important when you purchase lotions or even makeup, to see the texture. And it's really, I think it's quite unique to see that live streams that our client, The Body Shop, shows to their customers are all really, really focused on the texture of the product. Because it turns out that once you show the texture of the cream, let's say different shades of makeup, it really, this is really what the customer wants to see. Because if you remember, those of you who go and buy cosmetics in the physical shops, the first thing that what you want to do is actually apply it on your hand and see how it looks, how it feels, and what it is like, and whether you like it or not. So what we realized, what Body Shop realized, was that once their shop assistants start showcasing the products on their hands with the focus on textures, shades, the feeling on the skin, it really works very well. And once again, of course, it drives to purchase. Do you want to add something?
No, as I said in the beginning, it's just, for me, it's completely mind-blowing, because when we were entering this story with Body Shop, etc., and we obviously really want beauty category, we really want it, because as many cases as we can, because it's a complete mystery for us. How do you sell it by using live video? The very fact, the insight that the close-up of the texture and the tone and the color and the texture and the feel of the cream is what actually is a deal maker for the purchase, was, for me, it was completely mind-blowing. But furthermore, the most mind-blowing in the whole of the story is how professionally and how creatively and with how much focus Body Shop guys really approached it. And you will see some examples on this.
Yep.
It works very well in those categories where you want to feel something.
Not just show, but you want actually to deliver the feel of the product.
Like in wine.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like we do with wines.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And yes. Are we going to go in the wines? No, I think we've talked a lot about different scenarios and cases. And to sum up, the whole point of it was to share with you and explain how actually our clients, how the end customers of our clients keep inspiring us. Because, I mean, really, when we were just launching the service itself, of course, it was clear that it is, I mean, going to be fun, interesting, of course, of high demand, this live experience of seeing the product. But then once the service started being used actively, the more it is being used, the more scenarios, the more ideas, the more insights we get, the more features, the more formats we start developing ourselves. So do you want to talk about that?
So yeah, let's move on to Sergey part of the story.
So, Natasha, thank you for telling us about all the amazing insights we are getting from the existing clients. But, as you may guess, we are constantly on the lookout to expand our industrial coverage. And that implies talking with guys from vastly different backgrounds. Those include one of the major automotive manufacturers, not only in Russia, but in the world. Also, a global hotel chain and some other HoReCa players, as well as major Russian real estate developer. All of those guys have very different and very specific requirements to interaction with their customer, which implies new challenges for our product team. So, going into slightly more detail. First of all, there are way more touch points with the clients in these industries than in normal retail, for example. It implies interaction with clients on pre-sale, sale, after-sale stage, and even more touch points when we are talking about renting or leasing. Yeah, completely different formats of ownership and service provision. That also means that there are very specific infrastructure requirements, because in these industries, it's not always the case that the salesperson is nearby the actual product. There are legal, there are official dealers for vehicles, and there are some unofficial, yeah? There are services, there are...
Suppliers of different parts.
Yeah, suppliers, all the accessories, all of them can be sold using our product. But, as I've said, the person is not always there. So that means that there is a requirement for very special feature, delayed stream, basically scheduling an appointment with the salesperson. But more on that later. So, completely new formats of interaction. Speaking of which, I think Dragrat has something to say about that.
Oh, I certainly do.
Cool.
In the same way, early this year, when we realized that we have much more and many more interested clients from industries that we initially, didn't include in our main pilot pool of clients, like real estate, HoReCa, automotive. We thought it's a really busy sector. We should, really carefully dive into it. But we've seen immediate interest into what we do and what we have to offer. So things went much faster than we actually expected. In the same fashion this happened, we've also seen a lot of interest from small and middle businesses, purely online businesses, businesses that do not have any brick and mortar infrastructure, and they don't have any serious partner networking deals for federal retailers. From one side, and from the other side, we've seen a ton of really big brands, big vendors that are really keen and interesting to boost their sales in their partner retail, but they want to do it and control the process by themselves. They want to be the keeper of eyes on experience on their side, but they also do not have their own brick and mortar infrastructure, their own shop assistant team. basically anything that would allow them to use our software solution as it was meant to be. And when we realized this, we kind of defined it with the help of some of our partners from advertising and promo industry. We've talked a lot, and we've defined an opportunity in a very simple fashion. We've defined that we are working with the long tail of businesses, big, middle, small businesses that do not have the brick and mortar infrastructure but are interested into using Eyes-on as a service. And what basically we should offer them is a out-of-the-box complex solution. By the way, here is Tanya, so General Manager of the New World Agency and our partner for current piloting of the concept that we imagined together and that we started piloting a couple of months ago, or a month ago, literally, which is basically, in a nutshell, we defined it as point of sales promotion, traditional point of sales promo, but in online. So what we are providing together with our partners in promo industry, we are providing a out-of-the-box solution that includes our software solution that you can install, our widget that clients can install in any number of platforms, assets, website, stores in online from one side, and the offline infrastructure, so pop-up showrooms, promo staff, promo team that can cover all of the infrastructure that is needed for one-on-one on-demand live sales to perform well. And I would just stop talking about that right now myself, because I don't understand that as well as Tanya does. So I would just ask Tanya to tell us a little bit, unwrap, unbox this whole logic, this whole approach, and what are our first cases and what perspectives do you see for yourself as a partner, for ourselves, and most importantly for our future clients.
Okay, let me introduce showroom part of Eyes-on projects. First of all, I would like to know that at current world, more and more sales doing online. Online share increase dramatically. And because of it, of course, everyone vendor would like to stand out on this online shelf. What does it mean? Anyway, he would like to provide not only good products, but also additional services. How right now doing online purchasing? First of all, potential customer come to websites and start searching online to do final search online, but anyway, to check something, to clarify some moments, he go offline and check leave products and back to online and to do purchasing there. We would like to do this process much easy, and for vendors and for potential customers
but basically by allowing the customer not to make an additional step into the offline.
To save time for all of them. To
save him time and effort and give him the possibility to experience the offline part of the product, information experience immediately during gathering the basic information about it. So basically we are cutting down the marketing funnel of the customer journey.
Professional online promoters help customers to do right choice and care about this choice even after sales. That customer who doing this choice should be assured in his choice, and right after it, if he like it, he will share his experience with friends, parents, and back to this product again. That's why we would like to recommend use professional online promoters in the same way as it previously was in offline retail. These promoters quite professional not only in product but also in purchasing techniques. They're very well known how to communicate with potential customers, how to understand what they want and what they can provide them what kind of products, what kind of services, how it might be organized, and how we are realize it together with brand of notebooks, ASUS. So vendors anyway would like to stand out on the shelf, and just several months ago we had communication with ASUS. This is very popular notebook brands, and this brand would like to start this project with us. How it's working right now? We have online promoter. He receiving the calls and do all his communication with potential customers regarding products. His promoter very well know all notebooks, all techniques of this brand, and can recognize what exactly necessary for this potential customer, and directly go with him until they put this product to the basket. Right after it, he receiving new call and the story starting again. We would like to do process more easy to communicate with customer, and we choose promotion staff which ready to understand behavior of customers, needs of customers, and on this way, it really help to sell.
So basically, what you're saying is that for all those potential clients, businesses that are willing to give a try or believe in one-on-one direct sales in online and believe in power of live video in this, we have a solution that is basically all about providing, beyond the software solution, providing a professional, skilled, educated promotional staff, which is basically not just promoters,
but also oriented on the sales result.
Very much skilled salespeople from this or that industry. In this specific case for ASUS, this is technology. Yeah. And we are providing all of the offline infrastructure, which can be either pop-up showroom from one side, or it can be promoters that are positioned in any of the partner networks as well.
Depends from the vendor's needs. We can organize process of showroom by two ways. First way, we can collect all products in one place, and it will be real showroom where online promoters will be sitting and to do presentation of products by live show. Another situation, if vendor have oven shops or maybe big warehouse where possible, to open all products and demonstrate them for live show. In that case, we go to the vendor and organize space of demonstration on the vendor sites. Both these ways is workable, and from our side, we think that both these ways anyway will bring good sales results. Finally.
And would you say that what would be the main benefits? I can say what I see, and then you may add something or correct me. So first of all, the price of this approach versus the brick and mortar in-store promotion
is quite similar.
It's quite similar, if not cheaper.
Yeah.
Based on ASUS case that we are collaborating on right now. The second thing is that for this price, you're getting a much higher coverage, much higher traffic, because the average traffic of an online store where our widget is positioned and connected to your promoters is many times higher than traffic through this or that brick and mortar store or even malls. And probably the third one is that basically for the client, like ASUS or any other brand, for now it is tech brands, then we are going to go probably to the beauty sector, apparel, everywhere where customer expects really powerful expertise. The third benefit would be all-in-one solution, where you basically as a client, you are buying conversions and you're getting these results without basically changing anything on your side in terms of infrastructure, in terms of investment, and anything else.
Yes, this is quite good solution, and I think this is new step in online sales.
Yeah. Oh, I think we all agree. Okay. So let's see what happens, and we're going to keep you posted on what happens with our point of sales promotions in online during 2021. But we really have a good feel about this. So yeah, we'll keep you posted.
I don't want to repeat all sales and conversion stuff which my colleagues have already told. Let's close up the keynotes. So we are analytics and data nerds in Izon, and we know why you need Izon for real. We're going to talk a bit about our business intelligence analytic. We are building end-to-end efficiency funnels, and we are analyzing them, and we are juggling with parameters and metrics in search of some insights and dependencies. Manu is our business intelligence analyst, and he is a master of BI dashboard building. And I think that we can talk a bit about our dashboards and maybe even show you something. Yes, Manu?
Yes, no problem. Hi guys. We have a variety of clients offering a wide variety of products. This allows us to learn more about both the client and the consumer. We can learn a little more about them than it seems at first glance. For instance, we divided all products into categories in order to better understand the requirements of consumers.
Yeah, this dashboard is one of my favorite one. And let's show the performance of DIY category.
Yeah, no problem. Fortunately, we don't need to keep memorizing all the data. We have a wonderful dashboard that tells us in DIY business everything is fine and there's a lot of perspective.
Yeah, DIY business is in growth and we are happy with it. You've heard from our colleagues about our client Leroy Merlin. So, as you can see, we are very meticulous with our data, and it allows us to drive our service performance and also to raise our clients' efficiency. But one thing that you need to know about our end-to-end analytics, it is infinite granularity of our data. And I want to ask you a question. What do you see when you're usually looking at your business dashboard? I think numbers. Lots of numbers and lots of insights of your customers' behavior. But we here in Izon, we don't need to guess. We know exactly what your customers are thinking about at consideration stage. Let me explain it a bit. Few thousands of videos are generated by your customers and your shop assistants weekly with Izon widget. And we are storing all this video content, all that video content, and we are storing it with dialogues, with all insights, with all concerns of your customers, and this is a real unique data. So Pasha is our research analyst, and Pasha is analyzing all content which our widget is generating, and Pasha will talk you a bit, yes. Maybe you even can show your script, real-time data, data transcripting
For
process.
sure,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, making all the data-related speech less boring than expected, I just want to say that we are making bulky data processing jobs to pack all our marvelous results into exciting research. We research behavior both of our shoppers and shop assistants to make Eyes.on core product as effective and convenient as it even possible. So they are related to our ambitious R&D projects, AI tools, speech recognition, natural language processing. All the magic is concentrated here. Here is our lifetime dialogues, so we are processing them all to extract extremely valuable data, actually. So our main target here means understanding deeply what customers need during their stream sessions. So we make analytics which help shop assistants to be as effective as it possible and shopping process as comfortable as it possible.
Just imagine if you could overhear their moment of purchase of your customers in stores. Really, this is a unique data. And this unique data unveils all blind spots of your customer user journey in digital. So, I should say that this unique data makes us even more powerful than any other e-commerce giants. Walmart, Amazon, eBay, Alibaba, hi there. All of them miss the main thing, real customers' thoughts. And this power could be yours with Eyes.on.
Yeah, thank you, Luba. That was awesome. But coming back to our previous discussion, as I've said that the new requirements drive new product features, specifically appointments. Guess what? We are not just working on it. We've already done it. Let me show you. So, I won't bother you with technical details and step-by-step instructions. Yeah? Basically, what you need to know is that customer and streamer agree on a final time when they will be able to meet. Customer selects the preferred method of notification, and when it's a time, whether it's the next day or within a month, he will get a notification with the link getting him straight into the live stream. Easy peasy, shoot and forget experience. But that's not all. We actually have a little freebie surprise for the next 3 customers that will contact us. They will get the full analytics package, everything that Luba's team told about, with shopper insights, deep dive analytics, the whole package, as I've said. You will get it free of charge. So just give us a call already.
Okay, time to wrap up for today. So today we really tried the best we could to unpack a bit for you the process and the results of what was going on in our lives and with our product and with our service for the last 6 to 9 months, basically, that we were mostly silent. So what we shared is different business scenarios, different user experiences, different insights, different features that were developed or being actively tested that allow you to use Eyes.on and inspire us to think about Eyes.on not just as a yet another B2B e-commerce widget or even a shopper instrument. It allows us to use Eyes.on and see Eyes.on and be inspired by Eyes.on, looking at it as a true, genuine omni-channel instrument for omni-channel trade from one side, and from the other side as a completely new way to bring back emotion, human connection, personal approach, and live interaction between businesses and their customers into a boring, modern, commoditized online shopping. So what is going to happen next time, hopefully, in a couple of months, in our next special of Development Diary, we are going to shift our focus a bit from what we've done and what we are actively testing into a more further and more broader perspective. For now, I will not reveal too much. The main idea behind our next Development Diary release will be built around the question, what happens when we take this on-demand, one-on-one live shopping experience from the product page on your website or your e-commerce app and take it all the way throughout the customer journey, starting with advertisements. So what happens when we turn an advertisement into a live sales direct-to-customer tool, all the way to the CRM, direct mailing, and direct communication to your customers. So when we take one and the same experience and make it A, touchpoint agnostic, applicable to any touchpoint online and offline as well. And the second question is, what happens useful for your business and for our vision of future shopping when we use Izon as a social instrument, when we use Izon to create a new, more social and more connected shopper experience around everything that we sell together. So thank you for today and hope to see you soon, and bye-bye.
Ciao.